Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and let's talk about the IceHogs. Yep, those IceHogs. The 0-5-1 Rockford IceHogs. That's right, they still haven't won a game. How fun is that? I love fun. I am so glad that my team is out here to provide me with all sorts of fun this season. How generous of them. I mean, that's the least they can do, right? I mean, if you call fun some high blood pressure, some anxiety, some wanting to cry, maybe some day drinking, since they do play again tomorrow night. And I don't know how I'm going to get through the time between right now and that game after what we just saw tonight. So much fun! So instead of me just sitting here losing my mind, I guess, let's go over the 3 questions I had for tonight's game against the Cleveland Monsters. Question number 1. Can they score on the power play? Nope, they sure can't. They went 0 for 4 on the power play tonight. Ain't that grand? Jokes aside, they did look a lot better on the power play tonight than we've seen from them the last few games. Thank goodness. But it wasn't good enough to get a goal. They were getting some shots, they were holding onto the puck a little bit. I won't really credit them with too much passing. There were passes attempted, but the theme of tonight was just weak passing. And like we've seen from them leading up to this game, there was a lot of throwing pucks to nowhere and to nobody. But even when they did have a target somewhere in the area, the passes didn't have any strength behind them to actually get to their teammate. At least get to their teammate without being intercepted by the other team or ending up behind the guy they were trying to pass it to, since, you know, they're on ice and they move. Even if they're not attempting to move, sometimes they just glide like we saw in the last game against Grand Rapids. Passing aside, they did get some shots on net. They had a lot more shots in this game than they did in the previous one. So that's a plus, I guess, if you're trying to take some sort of positives out of this game. It sure would have been helpful to get some power play goals, though. Just think, if they would have scored on all of their power plays, it would have been a tie game because they lost 7-3. That's right, they gave up 7 goals. None of those were empty netters. I mean, you could basically count the first 6 as empty netters since Matt Tompkins was, I don't know, his body was in net. I'm not sure where the rest of him was, though his brain certainly wasn't there. And then finally, we got to see one of our rookie goaltenders. Cale Morris came in the 3rd period, and he was pretty dang good. That is one of 2 actual positives that I will take out of this game. The other one being that Mitchell Fossier got his first goal 9 seconds into the 3rd period, because why not? But Cale Morris looked good. I like it. Anywho, no, they didn't score on the power play tonight. Question number 2. Can they have sustained offensive zone time? Certainly better than what we've seen in the past 2 games. I will give them that. But there still wasn't enough. Yes, it's progress, so I'm not going to totally knock them for this one, because you can't just go from no offensive zone pressure to having the puck all game. There has to be some sort of progression. And as long as it does progress from what we saw tonight, that will be a positive thing. If it goes back to them just not having the puck in the offensive zone at all, well, then we've got a bigger problem on our hands. And we really don't need bigger problems on our hands when it comes to this IceHog season. Because if you recall, they are 0-5-1. That's a big enough problem right there. And then finally, question number 3. Can the IceHogs win a game? Nope. 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 They cannot. The IceHogs remain completely defeated on this season. My attempt at keeping my sanity remains completely defeated on this season. It is going swimmingly over here in Rockford, Illinois. Can't you tell? They started this game looking about the same as they did against Grand Rapids. They couldn't hold on to the puck. They were turning it over. It was just all going awry. And then, before the game was even 8 minutes old, Cleveland was leading 3-0. That is bad. Like, beyond bad. If the IceHogs had been playing well this season, maybe had some sort of a good record, and then they came into tonight and had the same sort of outcome, you'd say, oh, that really sucked. That was a really bad game to watch. But with them not having any good games so far, and then this? I'm really just kind of running out of things to say about the team at this point. You could recycle all of the easy answers. Get pucks toward the net. Get pucks out of your zone. Get pucks deep into the other zone. Move your feet. Take it one shift at a time. Take it 5 minutes at a time. Take it one period at a time. You can say all of these things, but I really don't know if any of them would help this team. I don't know what would help this team. I don't even know if the Blackhawks sending down some of the guys they haven't used yet would help this team. They just have Brandon Peary floating around in the ether up there somewhere. He played one game for the Hawks to start the season, was waived, went down to the taxi squad, and he's basically just been kidnapped from the face of the earth. It would make sense for them to send him down to Rockford to get playing time, maybe help out this team a little bit, give them some sort of firepower. He's been around for a little while, maybe he could be one of the veterans on this team that helps the young kids. But no, he's basically just disappeared. Matt Tompkins just looked straight up bad in this game. That's not the first time we've seen that, even this year. I gave him credit in the last one. He looked decent against Grand Rapids. Tonight, he looked like he couldn't stop a beach ball. It was beyond frustrating. I figured every time the puck even went toward the net, it would end up behind him. The season is still young. This defense is completely new. Yes, we do have Cody Franzen back, but he's new to the other guys and they're new to him. And the defense has to help out your goaltender, and the forwards have to help out the defense to help out the goaltender. But sometimes you just need your goalie to make a big save. And I'm not confident that this guy can do that. Say he does make a big save every once in a while. I still want to see one. Do you really feel like he has a good influence on the team when he's in net? We've seen it before when you had Corey Crawford in net for the Blackhawks. They just looked comfortable having him back there in goal. When you had Colin Delia in net down here in Rockford, the team looked like they were confident having him in goal. Do you really think this team is just okay with knowing Matt Tompkins is back there if they screw up? I know I'm not. So I don't know. Cale Morris came in the third period. He faced a full 2-minute 5-on-3. Hey, rookie, welcome to the league. You got a not so great defense, a very young defense. Why not just have a full 5-on-3 you gotta kill off? But he did it. He was their best penalty killer out there. He came up with some huge stops and he looked good. He only gave up 1 goal in the period, I want to say on 14 shots. It was 14, I just looked. So he gave up 1 goal on 14. Matt Tompkins gave up 6 goals on 23. You do the math on that one. Maybe I wouldn't be so hard on the guy if we hadn't seen this all season so far. He's played every game except one, and with a record of 0-5-1, clearly something's not working. Losses obviously aren't only on goaltenders. But he hasn't done himself any favors. And he still needs to come up with that big save every once in a while. Big saves that make your jaw drop, they give the team in front of you energy. They make the guys maybe want to play for you more. If you show that you've showed up for them back there and you're doing your job way even above what is expected, maybe they'll do the same in front of you. But we haven't gotten that. With the score being 7-3, there were at least 3 IceHogs goals. I mentioned Mitchell Fossier got his first 9 seconds into the third period. Chris Wilkie got another shorthanded goal. That's his second shorthanded goal of the season. Cleveland's goalie went on a little adventure. Mitchell Fossier met him behind the net, took the puck, got it out to Chris Wilkie, who was in front of the wide open net, and with some very generous bounces for the IceHogs, it ended up in the back of the net. That was their first goal of the game, and they needed a really weird one to get it. Their second goal of the game didn't come too long after that. Mackenzie Entwistle had the puck behind the net, found Brad Morrison right in front, and with a good shot, he just ripped it over the glove of the goalie. This is the same Brad Morrison who has been our point leader. This is also the same Brad Morrison that was scratched in the last game for no good reason. Clearly, when you haven't won a game and you need scoring, you should really scratch your most efficient point getter. I mean, that just makes sense, right? Why would you want to score goals? Why would you want to have the guy on your roster who has gotten the most points on your team in the least amount of games? I don't know. Wild. He comes back in this game, gets a goal in the first period. Imagine that. I've mentioned in my Blackhawks videos that their coaching decisions confuse me from time to time, especially on the power play. The coaching decisions in Rockford, I don't know if there are any. It seems like there's just a bunch of rookies on the bench just doing whatever they want out there. There's no structure to these games. And if this is structure, then I don't want it because that is a very crumbly structure. It is not going to hold up any sort of success. The one thing it will be able to hold up is a completely defeated record. So if that's what you want, I guess you can keep doing what you're doing. I don't know that the Blackhawks would be very happy with you, seeing these are their prospects. I think they probably want them to do well, maybe develop. I don't know, just a guess. But I can't imagine any coach ever having a group of guys in front of them and not telling them to shoot the puck, not telling them to move their feet, not telling them to get open for their teammates so they can receive passes. And if there is a coach telling their guys to do that, he's employed by the Rockford IceHogs, because that is what they are doing. I haven't seen any good habits this team has picked up. There haven't been any consistent good things from game to game. You may see a good thing one game and that goes completely out the window the next. They had 32 shots on goal tonight. It would not surprise me in the least if they came back out tomorrow night and had another 13-shot game like they did on Thursday. Every time they improve on one thing, they kill something else, and then the thing they improved on gets killed the next game. I don't know if nobody taught these players or this coaching staff how to play with blocks when they were children, but typically you use them to build things. You know, that's why they're called building blocks. But it seems like they have a certain amount of blocks allotted for each game. They stack them all up, make a very bad structure, once again, and instead of identifying one or two of the good blocks that are in a good place that could maybe hold up a different structure that is more well maintained, maybe will be a little more fun to build off of. Maybe you could end up building a castle out of these blocks instead of a falling down shed. Instead of identifying those, they just come through like a toddler and kick the whole thing over. So then they just have to start all over again. And of course, these blocks clearly haven't been labeled because they can't find the ones that were positives in the last structure. So then they're just guessing, and there's blocks everywhere instead of being built into anything. And you just have a mess. That is your 2021 Rockford IceHogs, apparently. That's not what any of us wanted. That's probably not what any of us thought going into this season. Myself, I looked at the roster and said, oh, this is a very young roster. They probably aren't gonna have a winning record, probably won't make the playoffs if there is a Calder Cup playoffs, but you'll be able to watch each game and see how these rookies progress throughout the year. And you'll be able to see the positives from their different game styles. But no, there were a couple of guys who stood out early. Ever since then, it's just game by game. They're not building off of anything. One game, a certain guy will stand out because he'll get his first goal, tonight being Mitchell Fossier. Tomorrow, he might not do anything, which is fine. They are rookies, but they're not being put into good positions to succeed. And the IceHogs rolled with 7 defensemen and 11 forwards tonight. So there's that fun little tidbit. We know how that goes with the Blackhawks, don't we? They did have to come through and prove us not completely correct by winning a couple games with the 7D 11 forward lineup. But this IceHogs team sure didn't. So, once again, ball this game up, throw it in the trash, and set it on fire! This team is becoming a fire hazard for Northern Illinois because they keep setting garbage cans on fire. At least metaphorically. But eventually there are going to be enough mental and metaphorical fires to start real ones. I don't know how, but that just seems like how that would work. Clearly I'm losing my mind. So now that we've thrown that one away, just like a bunch of the ones that came before it, let's move on to tomorrow night's game against these same Cleveland Monsters. Question 1. Will the IceHogs start the game on time? Out of all of the problems you could identify within this team, this might be the biggest. Yeah, their second periods are always pretty disastrous. It was again today. Because of course it was! But how you start a game normally sets a tone for the rest of it, unless you grab some crazy momentum somewhere. And they're clearly not doing that either. So they need to come out and start these games on time. Maybe get a bunch of shots to start the game. Keep possession of the puck. Keep it away from the other team. What a concept. Come out looking like you're hungry to do something. Get the other team back on their heels a little bit. Or just don't give up 3 goals before the halfway mark of the first period. I will settle for that. Whatever it is, you have to know when this game starts, and you gotta be ready to start when that puck drops. They have not been ready to play. Sometimes in the middle of a period, they'll realize they're playing a hockey game, and they'll get something going, like they did tonight, getting those 2 goals late in the first. But that doesn't always happen, and the beginnings of these games really have set the tone for the rest of it. Clearly, they are 0-5-1 How many times do I need to say it? Last game, I said that the Blackhawks need to start just by moving their feet and then maybe get some shots on goal. But now I think it starts even before they start moving their feet. They just need to be ready to move their feet. They need to realize they are out on a big sheet of ice and say, oh, it's game time. I must play hockey now. Because it doesn't seem like they're doing that. They seem completely unprepared and just overwhelmed as soon as the puck drops. And while they've been outplayed in a lot of their games so far, it doesn't look like these players just can't handle it. I'm sure a lot of them probably would have benefited from some more time in junior, or being able to spend some time down in Indy, or spend some time just as a healthy scratch getting acclimated to Rockford, acclimated to the AHL. But that's not how the season goes. You are in the AHL, you are on the ice for the IceHogs, you are on the ice for these games. You gotta play. You are professional hockey players. You just gotta do it. Suck it up and move your feet. Question 2, will we see a different goaltender? Well, we did in the third period for this one, and that made me very frightened that they were sitting Tompkins in the third period just so they can come back tomorrow night and start him all over again. Why you would do that? I don't know. But clearly, like I said before, if there are coaching decisions being made for this team, they are the ones that are the opposite of how you get your team to win. But I really don't think there are any coaching decisions being made. They're just doing stuff. And they're doing stuff that isn't working. You have one guy that gives up 6 goals on 23 shots. 6 goals before the halfway mark of the game. You have a guy come in the third period, give up 1 goal on 14, and that includes killing off a full 2 minutes of 5-on-3 power play time for the Cleveland Monsters. To me, it just makes sense who you would start in the game tomorrow night, right? Am I crazy? Would you not start the second guy? Especially when guy number 1 has played in 5 games this season and lost them all. It just seems like a no-brainer. You don't have to have a brain to even figure this one out. So if you do have a brain, it should be even easier to make that call, right? What am I missing here? It is clearly not working with Matt Tompkins right now. Does that mean that it's not gonna work all season? No, of course not. He could take a few games off, or even 1 game off, come back in, have a great game, get the win. And then maybe he goes on a little streak. Even if it's not wins, maybe he has some great games and the team just can't score in front of him. It happens. But we've seen in these games so far that this team isn't scoring a lot of goals and they are giving up so many! I said it earlier in this video, obviously it's not all on the goaltender, it takes all of the guys on the ice to not allow goals. But like I also said, you need your goaltender to come up with a big save every now and then. And from what I saw tonight, I trust the second guy to do that a lot more than the first guy. Because we saw it happen! I really hope that they start Cale Morris tomorrow. Give him a shot. He played really well in the third period. I don't like to say that players deserve ice time because that's how you get Matt Tompkins playing 5 games and losing 5 games just because he's been here longer. But when their play on the ice dictates that they deserve another game, then it makes sense. I just have this sense of dread that they're not going to do the right thing because that would be more on brand for this season than the alternative. We are 6, about to be 7 games into this season so far. And the only good things that we've seen are guys getting their first AHL goals. That's it! And yeah, that's real exciting, but they can't get their first goals every game. You can only get 1 of those. So they need to start doing some more positive things, if not for just the sake of our sanity as people who have to watch the games, but for the sake of them having a better season, having these positive building blocks, going back to that whole thing, that they can build off of. It will only go towards giving them confidence, which they clearly don't have any of right now, and I don't see why they would have any. It's just beyond frustrating and exhausting, even to watch. I can only imagine what it feels like being in that room. But again, like I said last video, it is up to you to change it. You are the guys on the ice. You are the only ones who can affect the outcome of the game. You just gotta do it. Question 3, will the skaters limit the amount of scoring chances? And this is how not every goal is the goaltender's fault, because it's up to the guys in front of the goaltender to limit the amount of good chances that they have to stop. And the IceHogs goaltenders haven't really been limiting those chances so far this year. I know for the NHL, they keep track of high danger scoring chances. I don't know if they do the same for the American League. I'll have to look that up, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone told me, hey, the IceHogs give up the most high danger chances per game. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. That's what I'm seeing. The goaltenders haven't been good, but they can only stop so many grade A scoring chances. You do need a big save from them here and there, like I've said a few times this video, but you can't make them have to make huge saves multiple times every period. It's just not gonna happen. So the goaltending needs to be better, but the guys in front of the goaltenders also have to be a lot better. I don't know if we'll see that change literally overnight since they play tomorrow, but it would be really nice if they could start that trend tomorrow night once again against these Cleveland Monsters. So, that was just a short little recap of tonight's game and some questions for tomorrow. Do you have any observations of this season so far? Do you have any feelings about this season so far? Clearly I have a lot of feelings, so I would love to read yours. Please leave them in the comments down below. If you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can subscribe to this channel, or you can head over to FromCenterIce.com, keep up with the latest podcast episodes, read IceHogs game recaps, can't wait to write this one, some game previews for the Blackhawks, they play tomorrow night if you don't feel like watching the IceHogs game, and some other fun stuff. You can also follow along on social media and see my sanity slowly slip out of my ears in real time. How fun does that sound? All of those links are also down in the description, so click all the things, follow us on all the things. I can do my best to try to bring some entertainment while the games sure aren't fun to watch. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it, and I will catch you all after the next one. Tomorrow night. Bye, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please hit that subscribe button to catch more From Center Ice content. If you could, hit the like button on this video, maybe share it with a friend or two. And while you're here, check out the podcast playlist and catch up on some old episodes. We will catch y'all next time. Bye!